Hey guys, welcome to Runecast. This is my first video, and I decided to create this YouTube channel as a place where we can talk about runes. And it's something that's near and dear to my heart. It's a subject that I've loved for many, many, many years. I've gained so much from the runes over the last few decades, and I just wanted to share some of what I've learned and hopefully open a dialogue between us so that we can kind of share back and forth what we've learned, what the runes have taught us. One of the main things that I really wanted to share is something that I haven't seen a lot of or heard a lot of, but it's something that very personal to me when the runes spoke to me about how to divine and how to cast them. I'm not a linguist. I don't have an extensive knowledge like some people like Dr. Jackson Crawford about how they were used in language, but what I am steeped in is how they were used magically and particularly for divination purposes. So I thought I'd come to you from my little bedroom library. This is my rune bookshelf with some of the volumes that I've collected over the years, and just open up a dialogue about runes. Particularly, I'd like to start a dialogue about the way I use runes in divination and how they've helped me through and helped others through some important points in their life when they needed a little direction. So I cast, when I do a runic divination, I don't use the stones or tiles, which are common. I mean, although I started out doing that in the beginning, it's how I learned of the runes through Ralph Blum's book that came out in the 80s. It's a great beginner book, but I don't use runes like this anymore. What I've used for the last couple decades or more are the lots, the staves, and what you see here. So, the casting of lots is a very old tradition, and it is in fact the first recorded form of divination that the Romans discovered when they came into the northern territories and the wildlands. There's a description in Tacitus how he came across a shaman and how they cast the lots. And when I read that passage in Tacitus many, many years ago, I was inspired. Not only that, I know that some of those traditions carried down through the years. How to cast your lots upon a white cloth. You face north, and you call out to the Norns, and you get a message back, which is always very valuable. So over the course of our dialogue here, I'll show you how I cast that way, and how effective it can be. Also, how in depth it can be. Because when you cast lots like this, you get a multi-layered message, which is very deep and has to be unpacked, actually. Especially when you do a cast of 24, you get the full picture. And it's really important. Anyway, so I've got that. I combined that with other authors that I've read over the years, and kind of put together my own system that I'm excited to share with you. And so I thought we'd start this dialogue and kind of go from rune to rune, starting next with with the runes, each one at a time. And during the course of that, we'll also show you how I cast and how I read the runes. I think it's important to see this type of casting and bring it back from out of time into the present. It's something that came to me as I worked through the runes really intensely through the 1990s was probably my most intense period. As I worked through them, I really scribed about it quite a bit, and through meditation, study, insight, I went this route, the casting of lots. The casting of lots is very, very old. It goes all the way back to the beginning of humankind. Shamans, since the beginning of time, shamans have used that way to help foretell the future or unravel what's happening in the present. So it's a very, very ancient tradition, and when it got into the northern part of the world, of Europe, they made it their own, but it goes all the way back to the dawn of time. They call it throwing the bones, casting of lots. These kind of things are very, very, very ancient. And so that's what really drew me to it as well, how far back in time this kind of divination goes. It's been simplified a lot in recent times with, the tiles and the stones. But in all actuality, its most basic form, as outlaid in Tacitus's account from 97 AD, when the Romans first made contact with the frontier people of Germania and some Britannia and some of the other lands in the north. This is what he witnessed them doing, 2,000 years ago. And you can imagine that it goes even further far back. So that's what that's all about. And in a moment here, I'm going to show you a casting. This method came to me kind of serendipitously when I was studying the runes in the early 90s. Someone saw me with my bag of tiles and my Ralph Blum book, and we were having a discussion about the runes. And he looked at me and he told me, he goes, you don't need a bag of runes to work with them. And that kind of blew my mind. I was like, what do you mean you don't need a bag of runes to work with runes? Of course you have to have a bag of runes to work with runes. He goes, no, runes are everywhere. And you can do a reading just by throwing simple objects out onto the ground. And he demonstrated with some wooden matches. He said you need at least 5, but you can have more. And he threw the matches out onto the ground, and the way the matches crossed each other formed the runes. One of the great things about the runes is they're very simple, angular lines. They're like an alphabet. And they're designed that way to be carved into wood, which is the way that they were used for many thousands of years. They were carved into wood, and then later forged into metal and put on jewelry and other items. But they were designed in a way to where that they could be cut into wood. And so they're just lines that cross one another. And by recognizing the patterns and seeing the runes as they're formed, when you throw them out onto a cloth, the different staves will cross one another and form the runes, and that's how you get the message. So in a moment here, I'm going to cut the video over and show you how runes are cast. The old-fashioned way from good old Tacitus 2,000 years ago, and continue the conversation with you. I'm excited to do so, and I look forward to your comments. So with that, let's go ahead and cut and see how runes are cast the old-fashioned way. Okay guys, here we are on the rune cloth, just kind of to show you some of my older tools. That's an older cloth that I had. You always want a compass, you want to make sure you're facing north. So I have my compass here. This is the northern part of my house. This is where the altar is. Here are the runes right here. Okay? The way this goes, pick up the staves like this, hold them in your hands, and you're going to cast them down onto the cloth. First you call out to the Norns. Verdande, Skuld. You throw them out. Now you can see how they spread. The first thing you're going to look for is where are some runes. Right here, got my notepad. I see Ansu's right away, the fourth rune. It's right there. In here, I'm going to take a look, and I'm going to see things like Nathas, Agalas, Tiwas. What else am I going to see in here? Fee. This is Tiwas right here. The arrow pointing up. Nathas and Hagal right in here. This is important. And up here, what this is telling me, it's more like Munjo. Munjo. Okay, you're looking at it from kind of an upside down perspective. But right off the bat, what I see are 5 runes. And they're telling me a couple of things. First one that came across was Ansu's, the 4th rune, which is all about communication, which is good. That's what I want. The need, not this. Hagal is change. Basically, Tiwas victory. Munjo can be joy. So those are just some of the basics. Depending on where they fell on the cloth also has indication as to their meaning in the reading. So that's just an idea to show you kind of what they did, how they formed, where they landed on the cloth is important. This is more of a spiritual side over here. This is more of a material world over here. Again, you're looking at it upside down, kind of from another standpoint if you were sitting across from me. I'd rather have you sitting from my perspective, so in my next video, I'll probably have the camera looking over my shoulder, because I think that's going to be more important for you to visualize. But yeah, that's how you cast the runes. One other thing that I thought was important was one got away. So let me go over and grab it. This one rolled off the cloth, and whenever one does that, it's always important to me. And it rolled off the cloth into the spiritual side, from the spiritual side of the cloth. And it does happen to be the 13th rune, which is Protho, which has, which means mystery, and among other things. But I thought it was kind of important that that one rolled over there, and when I saw it, it really meant something to me. So the mysteries from the spiritual side, from this reading, are being imparted to you through this room, through this realm of communication. There's a need to communicate this and perhaps change the way that you see the runes to impart knowledge and forward thinking, direction and victory, and ultimately joy as you discover the mystery of the runes. And there's Pertho right there for you. All right, thanks for watching. And I look forward to our next session when we will delve a little bit further into each rune for the next 24 weeks. Okay, let me know. Leave a comment down below. Looking forward to discussing the runes with everyone. Thank you.